We're here tonight, we're celebrating the fact that school is finally out. We're celebrating. We love to celebrate the wins, and I would say for a lot of us, that's a win, especially if you're a senior in here tonight that graduated. Congratulations. My goodness, what a win for you guys. That's amazing. It's great. And we're excited to appreciate you again on June 13th with some refreshments, because nothing says I appreciate you like snacks, to be honest. And so we're going to have those. And so we encourage you all to come out. But we're celebrating what God has done. And I think too often in our culture today, and I'm guilty of this like anybody else, I'll just keep going to the next thing. You know what I mean? Anybody else like me where like you fail to take time to actually appreciate what has happened because you're so busy like pressing forward to the next thing? Like our team and our staff, they know this about me, because literally I can come in after a large event like Love is Red, and if I'm not careful, I start talking about the next thing that we're doing, the next Wednesday, the next big event, rather than celebrating the fact that as a team, we've just had a huge win. So I have to like strategically think about actually celebrating, about actually just like being in the moment for a minute and just being like thankful for it, appreciating the people that I need to appreciate, celebrating what I need to celebrate. And I think the same is true, if we're honest, about what God does both in a ministry and in our own lives. When was the last time that you celebrated what God's done in your life this school year? Because I believe for some of you, I've watched it with my own eyes. There's been a huge transformation that's taken place. You're no longer the same person that you were even 6 months ago. And that's amazing. And I'm so proud of each and every one of you that have attended here regularly and that have just devoted your life to growth, to growing in God, to growing and knowing His purpose for you. And it's been amazing to see. And I wanted to take a moment to not only celebrate you tonight, each and every one of you, but celebrate all that God's done in this ministry over the last year. It's really been an amazing year, and I believe in so many ways a culture shifting year for us. It's been one of those years where it was a lot of building and plowing for us as a staff and as a team, but we've got some of the most phenomenal leaders on the planet that are represented right here, both as students and as adults. And so I believe that our future is incredibly bright. And what God has done this year has been nothing short of amazing. You think about some of the events that we've had, even Love is Red, like things like Love is Red, things like last year's camp, things like outreach night. We've had two amazing outreach nights. The first one in the fall with Rich Wilkerson Jr. was amazing, over 700 people. The last one, our United night that was, at the movies, we had so many people in here. It was crazy. It was literally packed to capacity. And that's because I believe you guys get it. You guys understand that like you have Jesus and you have the answer that your friends need. I want to take a moment to celebrate that. I think it's great. Another thing that I love about what we do is the fact that we're making a new commitment to community. And I want to encourage you, if you're not currently in a group, my heart for the United is I want to see 100% participation in a connect group, because I believe connect groups are clutch. They're key for your growth and your development, for accountability, for getting questions answered, for like further explanation. Some of you are the type that like have you ever been around that person? Maybe you are that person. They want an explanation for everything. Like some of you are like that. That's why you need a connect group, because there's not enough time. They give me about 30 minutes roughly. There's not enough time for me to explain everything, but man, you could really talk and hash some of those things out in a connect group, and that'd be great. I'm getting off on a side trail there about connect groups, but man, I love connect groups. I believe in them. But another thing that God's been doing is really moving through our campuses. And I want to encourage you that as we talk about what we're doing on high school campuses with our clubs, that if you're in a school right now that there's not a club represented at your high school, that we don't have an on-campus at your school, here's the thing that I need you to know, and I need you to hear this, and I would love it if you'd write it down and remember it, that we don't need to be represented on campus for Jesus to be represented on campus because he's represented through you. The United is represented through you. So even when we don't have a club on campus, we are still on campus, I believe, because you're there and you know who you are in Christ and you're walking as a light in a dark world. That's vitally important for you to know, but I want to take a moment to celebrate some of the things that did happen on campus. Some of the things that did take place. We were on Lake High School and we were on Hoover High School this year, and we saw some amazing things take place. We saw attendance continue to grow, which is always awesome, only because every person represents a life that Jesus wants to change. And so we believe wholeheartedly that lives were changed through our campuses. So I want you to go ahead. We did a highlight video of kind of some of our campus stuff. So if you would, turn your attention to the screen and check out this video.
My favorite part about Anchored is probably just coming back to my old school, my old high school.
The reason I enjoy Anchored is the genuine community and friendship between the students and leaders.
My favorite part about Anchor is the fact that we get to come into the local Canton high schools, and take church beyond the four walls of what is a church.
My favorite part of Anchored is being able to deliver a message of hope to the students.
I just love being able to be a part of what our house is doing as far as high school ministry outreach.
Let's hear it for our on-campus, and shout out to Devin for going ahead and making that video. Great job with that. And I invited some of our student leaders from the United on campus up to the platform to go ahead and talk about some of the stuff that they love about the United on campus, because I thought it'd be great for us to celebrate even our United on campus student leaders, because really they're the ones that run our on campus. And so if you are involved on your campus in any facet or any capacity, thank you so much. We want to celebrate you tonight, but I invited Alexa, Rachel, Chandler, and Molly to the stage, and so they're going to share, and we're going to go ahead and start. Yeah, you can clap. That's good. One person claps, everybody claps. No golf claps. No golf claps. Only golf claps at the golf scramble. It's the only event that golf claps are allowed. But I'm going to start with actually in the middle. You, Rachel. Rachel goes to Lake High School. For those of you who don't know, hello, Lake High School. How many of you, anybody in Lake High School?
Yeah,
like 3 of you?
Yeah,
that's exciting. Okay. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see hands. Yeah, I know you do. You were Lake High School. You graduated. You're no longer Lake High School. It's okay. All right. Well, we forgive you. It's okay. Go ahead, Rachel. Just share with everybody one thing that you're like, man, this is one thing that really stuck out to me that I loved and really enjoyed about being involved on campus this year.
Yeah, so I definitely loved going in, because we had it on Fridays during lunch, and I really loved going in and seeing all of the leaders and like Octavia and Colin, and I just loved and of course Devin and everybody, and I loved hearing their testimonies, because I think out of everything, hearing someone's testimony is probably the best thing you could hear from what God's done in their life. And I just think that was absolutely my favorite part of Anchored. And of course, like seeing all my friends and meeting the leaders, and I loved that part. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Chandler, would you have anything to add to that about what you really enjoyed about campus this year?
Yeah, so 8th grade, freshman year, I wasn't the best, and Anchored kind of started my freshman year, and people started pushing me to come and kind of get involved and stuff, and so they started pushing me, and then that seed got planted. Yeah. And as you were talking, people are changing, and there's a revelation going on. So as people come, they might not be believing when they come, and they're just sitting there listening, but that seed is planted, and it really gets them thinking about, is God real? They start thinking, and then they keep coming, get saved hopefully, and then they can come go to a local church or anything like that.
Absolutely. And that's huge. That's one of our huge passions, is just anybody is welcome. And we believe that church people can still be normal. And that's something that is not widely accepted, sometimes it seems, amongst church people, is that you can actually go to church, love God, be normal. And so I think accepting people where they're at is a huge part of that. And knowing that, man, you don't have to believe what we believe to just come hang out with us. And eventually, through coming and hanging out, we've seen so many lives change through it. Alexa, you've been a part of what's been going on at Hoover since the start. What's something that's really stuck out to you, maybe that happened on campus this year?
I think for me, it's one thing to hear about revival and transformation, but it's another to stand in the middle of it and watch it unfold just through people that you know, people that I see in the hallway all the time that didn't want anything to do with even the name of Jesus. And then all of a sudden you're watching them come into an intimate relationship with him and be freed from depression, anxiety, addiction, and even doubt. And oh my gosh, it's such a rewarding thing, and especially knowing that I don't believe God's slowing down at all. I think we just barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think you can tell by just these guys up here that they're some phenomenal leaders, but it's been incredible even for me to see the growth in them over the last 12 months. Like, they've grown immensely. So I think like being a part of this has not only been something that they've helped other people to come into relationship with God and grow in those relationships, but they've grown as leaders. You've seen like their ownership go to another level. You've seen them kind of go to another level, and it's been incredible. Molly, you've been a part of, I remember having you in JV in 6th grade. You've been a part of just our ministries, kind of leading and doing things for the last, I don't know, how many years is that? Like 6, 7, a lot. Who's counting, really? But no, you've been like an amazing leader. What would you say are the benefits for you of being involved on campus? What would you say to encourage people to be active on their campus, whether they have a club on campus or not? What encouragement would you give?
Honestly, my favorite thing about Anchored was how much like it stretched me, because it's really easy to come into church and be like, oh, I'm a Christian, like I love God. But as soon as you're doing that like on your school campus where there's people that could judge you and stuff, like that's pretty scary. I don't know about y'all, maybe you're better than me, but that's like kind of scary. And so to have an outlet where like us as leaders can go and like be bold about our faith, it was really stretching, and I think we could all agree that it's like a growing process. But it's one of my favorite things, and I would encourage you, if you wanted to get like involved on your campus or start one in your school if there isn't one already, like it's going to be hard at first, but it's so worth it, because you get to see so many, like they were all saying, seeds being planted and people being freed from things that are bonding them, and it's really cool. So it's a stretching process, but it's definitely worth it.
For sure. That's great. And every one of you, I think, shared your story on campus, and at least the majority of you. And I think that's amazing that like one of the things that when we started out, we would have like, we'd wonder like, what are we going to do for content? Like, what are we going to do to like keep it rolling and things like that? And Kalista, who's a School of Leadership student, has been like great with writing content. Austin as well has been great with writing content. But what we found was, yeah, you can clap. That's fine. If you're going to clap, just clap, and I'll stop talking. And then I'll start talking again after you clap. So that's the drill. If you're going to clap, just clap. But anyways, they've done a phenomenal job. But the thing that I loved about our on-campus is like once the stories started, it's like we didn't even need content. It's like everybody just shared their story. And I remember at the end of last school year, starting like having students share their story. And literally like we started with 2 and it never stopped. We had 2 scheduled for the first day. And I remember just being like, let's just do this series, share your story, and we'll do it for the full month. And they're like, we don't have enough to go full month. And I'm like, well, let's just try. Let's just make it work, because we need to have people share their stories. So the first 2 went, and then a couple more came, and then a couple more came. Literally for the next 2 months, we had students sharing their story every single week. And I thought that was so amazing, because each one of you has a story, and your story has significance. Each one of you has a story that God wants to use to minister to other people. And so it made me rethink think even with our United Worship experiences, man, like I would love to have students share their story, because I think there's nothing more powerful to someone in high school than hearing one of their peers share about how their life was changed. Like Molly was saying, it can be hard to live a life of faith and be like, I'm a Christian, because in some ways it puts a target on your back to get made fun of, to get ridiculed and all those things. But like, I'm loving that I'm seeing a boldness rise up where people are like, hey, okay, go ahead and give me the target, because I could care less. Whatever. I'm going to make Jesus famous in my school. And I think that's the amazing thing about these guys, and so many of you who have been involved with that, and so many of you that just live your life out loud on your campus, that just are a light in a dark place on campus. Thank you for all you do. And thank you guys so much for this year, your investment. I think that we may not know on this side of eternity how many people were actually impacted by what we did just this year. And for Molly, I know you're a senior, and you are not a senior, but none of the rest of you are seniors, so you have more years. But for you, you're a senior. I think what is exciting about that is that it trickles down. You know what I mean? Like the investments you made this year, you'll see fruit, and you'll get to take part in life change that you aren't actually there for, but you kind of set into motion. So that's just the really cool thing about, it's not just a 4-year thing. And I know Nick Lizecki sitting back there, he leads worship. He was on Perry's campus. And man, I believe that Nick set some things into motion on Perry's campus that will last for years to come, because so many people come to the United and got saved as a result of what Nick's doing, that Nick, his life and his high school career, if you will, it's still bearing fruit. And I think that's the amazing thing. So thank you guys so much for all that you've done. Thanks for coming up and sharing for a minute. Can we hear it for these guys really quickly? Awesome. Very cool. And we will go ahead, and you guys can go ahead and take a seat if you want, and we'll go ahead and transition a little bit what we're doing. I want to just share a couple things with you about future and some things that I believe that God laid on my heart for this year and beyond, just the next few months. And I think it's so vital that we all take part in it. I believe that God has some things that he wants to do. And I think it's amazing when we buy into what God wants to do, both in and through our lives. So if you're a senior, can I encourage you with this? If you're a senior and you're sticking around here, get planted. Start serving. I would love to see you serving in the United, because I think there's something so incredible about when you serve down, when you serve where you came from, because you've gone through 4 years of experience with high school where you can go ahead and serve and plug into the United and help people who are going to go through those same 4 years of high school. You have experience that's going to help them, and it's like fresh experience. You like just came out of it. So I think that's the amazing thing about serving down, is you can really help people. So I want to encourage you with that. But I believe that everybody here that's under the sound of my voice, you have a place in what God is doing right here. And so if I can encourage you, we have a couple things going on this summer. First of all, our 6-week journey. And if you haven't signed up for that, you don't even need to sign up. You can just show up on Sunday night at 7 p.m. And I'd encourage you, take the journey with us, because it's going to be an amazing journey. We're going to go deeper in our faith so that we can go wider with our reach. And I believe the more you go deep, the more you can go wide, because you're firmly founded in your faith. And so then you have a confidence to go wide with it. And so I'm excited about that. I want to encourage you, come to revival nights. I think those are going to be huge. I want to encourage you to join a group. And you're like, man, you're encouraging me with everything right now. Do this, do that, do this. Yes, because I think it's so vital that you stay connected. And I wanted to share just a couple things. And these are things that I would normally share with a group of leaders or a group of adults. But I believe that God is calling each one of you to be leaders. So I'm just going to share for a few minutes. Is that okay? On some leadership DNA stuff. And the first thing is this. The first thing I want you to write down, and these are kind of DNA mottos for us at the United. And the first one is excellence. People feel excellence. People feel excellence. And actually, Walt Disney was the one who quoted that people can feel excellence. And how many of you love Disney? I mean, come on, everybody loves Disney. I feel like my wife and I, like Jillian and I, we aren't really like Disney people. At least that's what we said. And then Jillian went to LA a couple months ago. She got the opportunity to go to Disney for a day. And she came back with like the t-shirt. She's like, I'm sold. I'm sold. I am a Disney person. Disney is awesome. It's incredible. And she's like, you need to know my wife. She is not an amusement park type person. She is not a like large crowd, let me wait in line type person at all. Like not in the least. But for some reason, she went to Disney and loved it. She absolutely loved it. Why is it that Disney is so great? What makes them so great? Because they understand this concept that people can feel excellence, that they can feel it, that they know it when they experience it, that there's something about excellence. That's why here with our team and our leaders, and what I want to ask you is to really go after and embrace an excellence mentality. What do I mean by that? That you're never satisfied with the status quo in anything. That you're never satisfied. In fact, excellence by definition is the gap between average and exceptional. It's the ability to exceed expectations and consistently deliver superior quality. To excel literally means to go beyond average. I don't know about you, but like here at the United, I don't want to have an average student ministry. I want to have I want to have a great student ministry. And I think that excellent student ministries start when you have excellent students, when you have students and leaders who are about it, who like love it, who are like, man, I'm gonna always go the extra mile. I love the quote that says, hey, if you don't like traffic, go the extra mile because it's never crowded. The extra mile is never crowded. Excellence is something people can feel, so it's something that we should have. Aristotle said excellence is not an act, it's not an act, it's a habit. Pat Riley, who is a coach for a long time in the NBA, now he is like the GM of the Heat, and he's like a legendary coach. He said this, he said, the gradual result of always striving to be better, that's how he defines excellence. So that's why here at the United, and I think you need to know this, because this is a culture thing. But one of the things that Austin, Caroline, Devin, Kalista, Colin, our team, one of the things that we're always asking ourselves is there a better way to fill in the blank? And you fill in the blank with whatever that thing is. Is there a better way to, and let's throw out, do worship experiences. That's why in July, you're gonna be seeing some changes to the way that we do worship experiences, because we believe that if we change and get better at the way we do worship experiences here at the United, that we're gonna create an environment that is irresistible for high school students where they want to come. I don't know about you, but I want church to be irresistible for people who are far from God, because I know that this is exactly what they need. They need to be here. Whether they know they need to be here or not, they need to know about Jesus. So we are always asking ourselves, is there a better way to? I love that in Daniel 6:3, and I'd encourage you to jot that down. I'm going really quick because I know you want to get pizza, so I'm going quick, but I want you to get this. Daniel chapter 6 verse 3, it says this, it says, then this Daniel, he became distinguished above all other presidents and satraps because an excellent spirit was in him. And the king planned to set him over the entire kingdom. See, this is something that at the United, we do collectively, but when you're a part of this, and you get involved here, my heart for you is that this would become part of who you are individually. Because when this is part of who you are individually, you'll thrive in school. You'll thrive in athletics. You'll thrive when you go to get a job. Why? Because an excellent spirit will be in you. Can I tell you that an excellent spirit attracts people to you? Can I tell you that an excellent spirit will be the breeding ground for promotion? You'll get promoted at whatever job you get because people, they may not even be able to identify it, but they know when they see an excellent spirit. When you're committed to excellence, it will cause you to rise above other people. It will cause you to rise above. There's something about just being committed to excellence. Simply just knowing that it's not an act, but it's a habit. It's who I am. It becomes who I am. I want excellence to be who we are here at the United. And here's why this is so important. They say that between the first 30 to 90 seconds, people already make their determination about a place. They already make their determination. So that's why our greeters out here and into the hallway are so vitally important. That's why when you walk in, we usually either have popcorn or coffee because it's so important. People's first experience is just so vitally important. That's why we're constantly gonna strive to get better at those things, because people's first experience and their first 30 to 90 seconds are so important. The reason that Disney is so successful in what they do is they appeal to all of your senses at the same time. You don't know it, but that's why you want to go back so badly. Because they make you want to laugh, cry, and pee your pants all at the same time, and you just can't figure out why. And it's crazy, right? But like literally, you see, you smell, you taste, it's all good. When you look, it's like nice and clean. And I believe that the church, our church should be at the forefront of this. I think we should be at the forefront of excellence. I don't think the world should show us how to do excellence. I think we should show the world what excellence looks like. And so that's why I believe that we'll always strive to be better than we were the week before. So I love this in Proverbs 22:29. You know, Proverbs is the book of wisdom. And this is a lot of wisdom right here. It says this. It says, do you see a man who excels in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men. When you are excellent, when you excel at what you're doing, when you are unwilling to settle for average or the status quo, it will place you before important people. It'll place you before kings. It'll place you before the president of companies. It'll place you before superintendents. It'll place you before people of importance. Why? Because excellence in our culture is so rare. People that go the extra mile, that don't settle for the status quo, are so rare. So here's what I'm asking. I'm asking you to go on this journey with us as a young person, because the Bible says don't let anybody despise your youth. Can I tell you, God wants to use you right now in the age you're in, right in the grade you're in. He wants to use you right now. You can be excellent where you are right now. You can learn these habits. And it's much easier when you learn them now than learning them when you're an adult. It's much easier to learn them in high school and in college than to learn them as an adult, because once you learn them and they become a habit, it's not as hard. It makes it easier. The second thing is this: passion is contagious. If you've been a part of the United, you've probably heard me talk about this at one time or another, but I truly believe that passion is 100% contagious. I believe if you're a passionate person, you will attract people to whatever it is that you're passionate about. That's why I believe that we should be passionate about God and what He's doing. We should be passionate about what we're doing here at the United. We should be passionate. If you serve here, be passionate about it. If you don't serve here, start serving here and be passionate about it. We should be passionate about what God is doing through the United. And so when we're passionate about it, guess what? People are gonna wanna come. Why? Because our culture is ruled with what I like to call FOMO, the fear of missing out. Have you ever been like on Instagram and everyone is at like a party, or everyone is somewhere? Don't raise your hand for the party, it's fine. But everyone is somewhere and you see that they're there and it's like, man, it's making you feel like really left out. Like, hey, the people that go on vacation before you and they're taking pictures at the beach in the sunshine, and you're in Ohio and it's 60 and rainy, and you're just like, this is awesome. Not really. And you're like a little bit jealous. I believe that we can make church look that attractive because A, it is that attractive, but B, like we're posting about it, we're excited about it, we have a passion about what God is doing, we believe that the best is yet to come, and so we post about it because we're excited about it. And I know that we live in an age where you got to keep stuff off of your feed because you got to keep your feed looking a certain way and stuff. Let's just get over that. Come on. Like, it's Instagram, it's social media. It is not that serious, but man, do we take it super seriously. Anyways, how do you spot a passionate person? Here's a few ways, and I want you to write these down if you're taking notes. I know it's a little different tonight, but I believe that this material and what I'm talking about tonight, this DNA stuff, will absolutely change your life if you listen to it, and if you don't, it'll just keep you the same. That's the thing about the word, it keeps you the same if you don't listen, but if you listen and apply it, it'll change your life. The first thing is this: how do you spot a passionate person? Number one, they put their whole heart into it. They are all in. They do whatever it takes. Come on, anytime that you can merge Jesus and the Cavaliers, you got to take that opportunity. Let's go. We're in the finals. It's great. Like 3 of you clap. We get the golf clap. Thank you, staff and leaders, for clapping. That's awesome. The rest of you, we'll have pizza in a minute. Number 2, they don't allow anything to distract them from the main thing. You know, the enemy would love it for you to be distracted for the rest of the time you're in high school. He would love it if he could just distract you with drama, distract you by distancing you from what you're called to do, distract you with a relationship. The enemy will distract you with anything that he can distract you with because he doesn't want you to be about the main thing. He will do anything to keep you distracted from the main thing. And for some of you, if you're honest, your whole high school career has been relationship. Can I encourage you that if you're basing your relationship and placing your relationship before God and before his house, you're already setting it up to fail? Because if Jesus isn't primary, then I believe that your relationship is temporary. But if Jesus becomes primary, then you can build a solid relationship that lasts. But it's impossible to know how to love and build a lasting relationship if Jesus isn't first. Because if you aren't receiving love, then you don't actually know how to love. You'll continue to lust. You'll continue to cause girls to stumble. You'll continue to take things that aren't yours and steal things, guys, that aren't yours. And that's a tough place to be. That's a tough place to be because it's not in the center of God's will. The only way that things will go well with you. I'm so thankful that I had a youth pastor who stood up and told me everything that I did not want to hear in high school, especially because I started dating Jillian in high school. And because I actually listened to my youth pastor most of the time, but because I actually listened and started to apply some of that stuff to my life, I believe that that's why, even though I was an idiot back then, I believe that that's why we were able to actually achieve a healthy relationship. Because even though I wasn't perfect, I knew how to act. I knew how to treat her. I knew what to and not to do. It didn't mean that we didn't make mistakes. It didn't mean that I was perfect. It didn't mean that I wasn't a knucklehead sometimes, but it just meant that I knew to always set boundaries the right way. I knew how to treat a lady. I knew how to do those things. And can I encourage you, this is where you find that out. And in his word, that is where you find that out. And if you're looking anywhere else, if you're looking to our culture, if you're looking at anything else, other people's relationships, celebrities, man, you'll be in for about 3 divorces. Because our culture is all about doing things the wrong way. And then if you're not compatible, leaving. But I believe that we're setting a countercultural trend in the church of actually having a healthy relationship that's founded on Jesus, because your foundation is everything, that's founded on Jesus and founded on trust. So we have relationships that last the long haul. So that we have marriages that last the long haul. No more divorce rates of 50% in the church, but we have relationships that last. Why? Because we found them on Jesus. We found them on the only thing that ever mattered. So can I encourage you in here? Because I know I was in high school once. The emphasis is always that girl you're gonna date. Make the emphasis Jesus. Guys, I dare you. Make the emphasis of your life Jesus for the next 6 months. I dare you. And see if your life isn't different, and see if your life isn't better. See if you don't have more joy and you aren't fulfilled. Because I guarantee you, whatever else you look to fulfill yourself, it's never going to be able to. Even that relationship eventually will get tiresome if you're trying to use it to fill a void it was never meant to fill. That's all for free. I wasn't planning on talking about that at all. However, we do have a relationship series with Jillian and I coming up in 2 weeks. So come back. It'll be good. Anyways, yeah, you can clap. That's good. Good time to clap. Next week, it's June already. My gosh, guys, it's next week. I'm sorry. It starts in June. Next week is June. My goodness. It's going quick. Wow. Anyways, number 2, we already talked about. Don't let anything distract you from the main thing. The enemy would love it for anything and everything to distract you. I believe that it's possible to live this life free from distractions. How many of you are in here and you're like, man, I want to live my life free from distractions. I want to keep the main thing. I believe that's why you're in church on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m., 7:59 p.m. And you're like, man, I will wait through this message to eat pizza because you want to keep the main thing. Number 3, they bring energy, excitement, and enthusiasm every single day. Energy, excitement, enthusiasm. What are you looking for when I come into the United, you ask? Thank you for asking. Energy, excitement, and enthusiasm. That's what we're looking for. Why? Because Jesus has been so good that it's not something that we have to manufacture. It's just a natural response. And that's why I don't get it when some Christians are like, well, I can't manufacture energy, excitement, enthusiasm every single week. Like, you can't expect that of me. Like, this is crazy. Why would you expect that? I don't know why I would expect that, because Jesus died for you and rose from the grave so that you could be here on a night like tonight and give him everything. So you might as well use every ounce of breath to go ahead and give him everything. But sometimes we fail to remember everything that Jesus did for us. If we would just remember what Jesus has done, if you just take a moment on your car on the way here and remember what Jesus has done. Some of you are really thrown off by the voice. I'm sorry. I went straight, I couldn't think of an Australian accent, so I went straight to a lisp. My bad. Went straight to the speech impediment. My fault. Anyways, they bring energy and excitement and enthusiasm. You get the point, and you'll never forget now to bring energy, excitement, and enthusiasm. I love this quote. In life, the prize goes to the person who's not the smartest or the most talented. It goes to the person with passion. In life, the prize goes to the person with passion. I believe that vision gives you a map, passion is the fuel, and discipline is the vehicle. Vision is the map, passion is the fuel, and discipline is the vehicle. See, vision, we have a vision here. If you've been in church, you've heard about it. Go, grow, give. Ours is no different than the church. We're a part of Faith Family. Ours is no different. We have vision. It's passion towards that vision that's the fuel that keeps it going. And then the vehicle is discipline. What do I mean by discipline? I mean that I'm calling on you guys to step up and be leaders. Because leaders do consistently what others do occasionally. Leaders do every single day what other people think about and talk about and do every once in a while. They do frequently, they do consistently. Can I tell you, consistency is key? I want you to write that down. Consistency is key. Leaders do consistently what other people only do occasionally. What separates you? I do what I do consistently. What separates an active follower of Jesus from a non-active follower of Jesus? A follower of Jesus is consistent in their devotions. They're consistent in their prayer life. They're consistent in his presence. And I want to encourage you, this is a call to this summer. We have summer soaps. We have a 6-week journey. We have a lot of opportunities for you to start disciplining yourself to be consistent. Discipline, sometimes it starts out and it feels really dreadful. But I believe eventually when you discipline yourself, it can turn into a desire. But don't get me wrong. Most of the time, it just feels like discipline. Most of the time, it just feels like doing what other people are unwilling to do, because uncommon commitment leads to uncommon results. And I don't know about you, but I want in and through my life and in and through this ministry to see uncommon results. I want to see thousands of young people come to know Jesus. I want to see a revival break out. But I know in order to see that, we can't just do what we've done up to this point. It's gonna take an uncommon commitment to see uncommon results. We can't just keep going with the status quo. It's gonna take a spirit of excellence. It's gonna take all the passion that we can muster up by continually reminding ourselves of the cross and that Jesus didn't stay there, but he went to the grave. And he didn't stay there, but he rose from the dead. And when he rose, it meant victory for all of us over anything that we would ever face. This is the good news. It's the gospel for everyone. So here's 3 things that I'm asking, and please write these down. No, I've said that a few times, but please write these down if you're taking notes. What I'm speaking of and what I'm talking about is I'm talking about culture tonight, a culture of excellence, a culture of passion. We said in the beginning, we want our culture to be 3 things. We want our culture to be a developmental culture, a relational culture, and an invite culture. So we want to see people and leaders being developed. We want to see relationships being forged. That's why we do groups. And we want to see you inviting your friends. But here's 3 things that I'm asking from you beyond that, because that's who we are. But here's what I'm asking you based on that. 3 things. Number 1, see the culture with clarity. See it with clarity. When I talk about excellence and I talk about passion, hopefully that's what you see when you come in on a Wednesday night. Hopefully you see people who are about excellence. I can guarantee you, if you get involved on one of our teams, you'll get a good glimpse of how seriously we take things, how excellence driven we are. When I think about this, I think about our band and our production team. It's amazing the detail. It's amazing that we have high school students that are up on stage that play tighter together than some main churches that I go to. It's amazing to me, but it speaks to a culture of excellence. It speaks to the fact that we're unwilling to stop at the status quo. If you get involved on a team, it will bleed into your DNA. I'm fully convinced. So see the culture with clarity. Number 2, own the culture with conviction. And number 3, build the culture through consistency. See the culture with clarity. Own the culture with conviction. What does that mean? It's not their culture. It's not the United culture. It is the culture of my life. It goes from being theirs, that culture, to this is my culture. I possess in me excellence. I am going to personify excellence in everything that I do. I'm going to be a person of passion. I'm going to be one that seeks out relationships when I come to the United. I'm going to be looking to develop people. If you're a leader in this room and you're already serving with us, you should be looking for the next person up who's going to be able to take your spot in whatever you're doing. Because as we continue to move forward, we're going to need 5 of you to keep moving. And so we're always looking for a next man up. I'm going to be the one who's inviting my friends. I'm not going to wait for somebody else to do it. I'm not going to wait for somebody that's loud or more popular to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start with my one friend that I know that needs Jesus. Build the culture through consistency. I believe that culture is built through consistently doing these things. We talked about it a minute ago. Culture is consistently doing the same things. It's consistently doing the same things over and over again that make your culture. I believe you keep culture through coaching and conversations, but you build culture through consistency. It has to be a part of who you are. It has to be what you live out. It has to come from a place of your conviction, in your values. But I believe that we're going to do that. And I believe wholeheartedly that the best is yet to come for the United. Thank you for being a part of it this school year. Thank you for everything that you've invested. Thank you for prioritizing church on Wednesday nights. Thank you for continually coming and engaging in the presence of God every week. Because you are the United. It's not a ministry that's mine. It's not our staff's. It's a student ministry. You are the United.